Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nadia. I'm a Vedic Astrologer and Psychic medium. So today we are going to talk about Saturn transiting Aquarius for each sign. So this is a continuation of the previous article that I posted last week about Saturn being in Aquarius. The link to that article will be attached to the description box. As usual, I will divide all my explanation into parts depending on your ascendant. You can read it from your ascendant, moon sign, or even your Mahadasha Lord placement. All right, so let's start. Before we getting into Saturn and what is impacting and influencing, I would like to put some disclaimer here. First and foremost, it will vary depend on your personal chart. So that's mean whatever I'm saying right now is not necessary to be 100% correct, not necessarily 100% to manifest as it is. All right. Each of us, we have a unique individual soul map where the energy is manifestation of our life and our soul will depend on it. All right. So what I'm going to give you right now or explaining for you, perhaps it will be like 20% or 30% adding on to whatever it's destined for you to happen. All right. So this is one point. Second point, you need to look at the Ashtak Varga point. Let's say, for example, I'm explaining and telling you like Saturn transit will be great, will be good. But if your Ashtak Varga is very low for Saturn, means that your expectation should be less than that. All right. You should lower your expectation in this case. Ashtak Varga plays a very, very important point when it comes to transit, analyzing the transit. All right. I made a video a while ago about how you can read your Ashtak Varga point, and I will link it in description box. You can watch it. All right. So, okay. So, this is the last thing before we start. You can see it from your ascendant, from your moon, or okay, what's going on here? Okay, so you can see it from your ascendant, your moon, or your Mahadasha Lord. Depend which one of these is more convenient with you and more resonates. All right. So some people they resonate from ascendant, some people resonate more from the moon sign, some people they not resonate from any of these. For example, they follow the Mahadasha Lord. Mahadasha Lord, what I'm trying to say here, like say for example, you are going through Rahu Mahadasha. So let the Rahu as ascendant and see where Aquarius is transiting, all right? Because you are actually under activation of that particular planet. That's mean every single change, transit, eclipse, whatever it is, it's very important to be seen from the Mahadasha Lord. Let the Mahadasha Lord as the ascendant, all right? And read the chart accordingly, okay? So, right, so let's start. Okay, let's start with the Aries here. So we have Aries ascendant. Saturn will be transiting your 11th house and is Lord of 10th and 11 itself. So Saturn here, it can really give you a good momentum when it comes to business relationship, partnership, when it comes to expanding of whatever you have. Let's say, for example, you want to expand your business, you want to change your career. Let's say, for example, you are looking forward to change your position, your company, especially like settling abroad, all right? Aquarius, I would say it will give you a good momentum in regards to that, all right? Naturally, 11th house has the highest Ashtak Varga point in most cases, not all of the people, all right? So usually Saturn transiting 11th house, it's indicate a good, okay? It's a good transit, all right? Unless that Saturn is transiting over K2, unless Saturn transiting over Mars, then in this case you have to be careful because it might indicate some sort of unexpected losses or unexpected change in the dynamic of the relationship and partnership that you already have in life. All right. Whenever Saturn is transiting K2, Mars, or even Rahu, but not really much, it might indicate some sort of end cut or pose of something. All right. So that's as an overall for Aries. I think it will be fine. Okay, so let's us move to Taurus here. Okay, so for Taurus, we have, this is Taurus, and then we have Saturn transiting your 10th house. Is also the rule of your 9th house. So what it indicates, it's for sure, it might give you some sort of change and transformation when it comes to your career in general. All right, when it comes to career, it if Saturn here giving low point, it might indicate change of career. It could be loss of job. It could be some sort of change in the management or the upper position. Like, for example, your managers or your bosses, somehow they want to change the dynamic or the structure of the whole company. So somehow, somewhere right now, you are a big pressure that you need to cope with that change, right? So it might manifest in that way if Saturn giving here low point, all right? And since it's the Lord of your 9th house, it also might indicate a foreign travel or trip might be conducted during next 2.5 years because of career or because of your work situation. All right. Saturn here also might indicate legal papers can be finalized during this time, can be finalized or can be started, depend on your dasha. So if, let's say, for example, you are actually looking forward to entertain papers, regulation, changing something, it might happen during this time. All right. This is for Saturn in for Taurus. Again, I think it will be decent, depend on how much Ashtaka Varga it gives you. If it's giving you a good point, that's mean the change, the transformation, whatever happened in career, it will be good. That's mean the paperwork, the legal thing that's going to happen, it will be in your favor if it's in the high point. All right. So this is for Taurus. Let us move to Gemini. Okay, so for Gemini, we have, this is Gemini ascendant. We have Saturn is transiting the 9th house and is also the Lord of the 8th house. So usually what I saw, some people, they will kind of get interested again into studying or maybe completing the courses that it's still pending, for example, continuing their highest degree. Such theme, it might occur during this time. Or let's say, for example, getting a professional certificate. Saturn will activate this thing for Gemini, all right? In order for them to be in the better situation or better position career-wise. So whatever certificate they will attain, it somehow, somewhere need to be or will help them career-wise, all right? Perhaps the actual use of you with this certificate will happen after 2.5 years when Saturn is actually moved to a Pisces, all right? So this is one thing. A second thing where we can see here that there can be some changes transformation, or some sort of restriction might happen in the relationship between you and your bosses, manager, or somehow your father. It could indicate that there is some theme gonna happen in the father's life, which it will impact you and influence you in some way or another, or at least like you will pour certain energy towards him or towards his situation to help, all right, or to guide, support, whatever it is, all right. Saturn transiting 9th house, it also can manifest, if your dasha is supportive, it can manifest as a permanent foreign settlement, all right, during this time. So again, it depends really how many points Saturn gives, but usually Saturn transiting 9th house, it will kind of help you to structure your life for the next 28 or 30 years onward, because 9th house is a house of our dharma and our soul path, I would say. It's actually the window of our Navamsha, yeah? So when Saturn comes to it, that's mean it will activate your soul purpose or into which direction you should go or you should follow, okay? It will start to give you a glimpse or idea what you're supposed to do during this time, all right? So This is for Gemini. Let's move to Cancer people here. All right. So Saturn will be transiting your 8th house and is the Lord of your 7th. This is Cancer ascendant. All right. So okay, let me put it in this way. Saturn was sitting in the 7th house for the last 2.5 years, right? And for sure, majority of Cancer ascendant, let's say for example 80%, I'm not gonna say all of you, 80% of Cancer ascendant perhaps went through certain situation related to relationship and partnership, whether it's your personal relationship with your boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, friendship, whether it's also related to your business partnership, and it's also connected to career, but yet career it will relate it to people that surrounding you at workplace. So maybe during Saturn was in a Capricorn, there was a theme related to people start to enter your life and they were significant. Maybe part of them, they left you during the last 2.5 years, and some of them, they stayed. Some of you also signed a new contract with new people, and some of you break that contract. All right. So now when Saturn moved to the Aquarius, as if it will give the energy of like, okay, now I break that relationship or that partnership, or I made that contract with this person, what we should do about it next. Okay. So it comes to the energy of like being practical, although it's being in the 8th house, but there is an energy of being more practical and more logical of what can be done now after whatever happened in this relationship or partnership or connection for the last 2.5 years. It's like the period of conclusion. Either you should move on from it, or you have to start to work on that connection or work of that contract or agreement. All right. Saturn in Aquarius is not really bad because Saturn feels comfortable in the 8th house, is a natural character of the 8th house itself, all right? But you have to be careful in sustaining and maintaining whatever contract, whatever relationship, partnership that you sign in the last 2.5 years, because it's going to be tested during this time. In a sense, whether decision that you took was the right decision or wrong decision, is it good enough, is it strong enough or not, right? So this is what Saturn going to do in the 8th house. I don't think I don't think it will involve much about finance and so on, but it will again test the relationship. All right. So this is for a Cancer. This is for a Cancer ascendant. So let us move to Leo. Okay. So for Leo, we have Saturn is transiting your 6th house. This is Leo ascendant, transiting your 6th house, and it is a lord of your, no, sorry, transiting your 7th house, my apology. Transiting your 7th house and is the lord of your 6th house. Saturn here, it will bring some karmic connections, past life connection, or soulmate connection into your life. Okay, it will bring it to you. This is one point. Second point, if you are actually already in the relationship and business partnership, it might right now testing the structure and foundation of that relationship, whether you want to sustain it, maintain it, whether you want to work on it or not. If the relationship is weak, okay, it might get broken during this period. It just might get shattered during this period when Saturn is in Aquarius, okay? Saturn in the 7th house is a bit sensitive because it will look at your ascendant also, which means that your perspective, your emotion, your mental and emotional state will start to change and shift during this period, because whatever Saturn is triggering you when it comes to, again, relationship, all right? And since it's the lord of the 6th house, so most probably it will bring in a negative way as, again, like issues and problems and so on. But I don't feel like it will be in in the bad way, because it's just a test, you know, whether you will actually pass the test or not, whether actually the relationship is good enough for you or not. All of this thing will start to reveal itself during this period. All right. So how intense it is or how good it is, it will depend on the Ashtak Varga point. All right. If you are, say, for example, looking forward actually to get into relationship, looking forward to get into partnership, finding a new job, finding a new contract, then this period is very significant that you might get into a new contract, a new agreement with new people that will show up to you. All right. So again, for the Leo, I think it will be very depend on your personal chart, but as an overall, it will be fine. You just have to really work on your mental and emotional state. That's how I feel. All right. So let us move now to Virgo. All right. So for Virgo, we have Saturn is transiting your 6th house, and it's the Lord of your 5th house. All right. So this is Virgo ascendant. So Saturn in the 6th house, it's actually fine. It's actually good. Because again, Saturn is a natural karaka of the 6th house. But you really have to pay attention to the strength of the 6th house. Because in my personal opinion and experience, 6th house can be pretty chaotic more than the 8th and 12th. It's more chaotic than 8 and 12 when it comes to Dushtana house. All right. When Saturn is transiting 6th house, that's mean karmic connection, karmic relationship, and partnership will start to show up during this time because it's the house of Prabadha karma, right? So that's mean the karma that you're supposed to pay in this lifetime will get activated naturally when Saturn is transiting the 6th house. So expect that maybe there can be, again, relationship might need to be cut off. There is some connection that you need to reconcile with. You need to consider it. There can be new agreement, all right? New contract. It's also house of work, dedication, service, responsibility. So it might indicate also your workload, your responsibility. It might start to increase during this period. Maybe Saturn here asking you to really shift or change your lifestyle or the way how you really taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, because the old thing that you were doing is not really going to work out right now. All right. And because again, it's linked to the 5th house. So it might be something related to your child. Maybe you'll become more concerned about them in a sense of how I can structure their future, how I can plan for them, and so on. All right. I think Saturn here really need to, it depends on your dasha though, it depends. But if you can do remedical measurement for Saturn, it will be great, especially if you have actually activation of Saturn. All right, like your dasha, antardasha, or pre-antardasha, in next 2.5 years, Saturn actually active, that I think remedical measurement will be extremely important, right? So what is remedical measurement? In my opinion, is depend on your natal Saturn, where it's sitting, and you do the remedies related to its nakshatra. All right. So this is for Virgo. Let us move to Libra ascendant. So for Libra, we have Saturn is transiting your 5th house and is the Lord of your 4th house. So I think for Libra, it will be a bit neutral. It will vary depend on the Ashtak Varga of your 5th house, all right? But Saturn in the 5th house, it might actually manifest of conceiving a child, or there will be a focus towards your children, towards your family. There is actually a focus into being more creative, being more open, or change something within you or something surrounding you, especially in terms of family or upbringing. Or it could also triggering a healing inside of you, like you have to heal certain aspect in order for you to succeed. For example, succeed in relationships, succeed in showing yourself to people, self-esteem, and so on. All right. So Saturn in the fifth house might trigger self-esteem and self-confidence mainly, all right? Which will be projected via taking care of your family and people who are surrounding you, okay? Saturn in the fifth house, it can give really neutral, but I don't think it's bad either. So for Libra, I believe that Saturn transit is not going to be really, really bad, right? It depends on your dasha for sure, but it's not going to be really crucial either, all right? So this is for Libra. Let's move to Scorpio. All right. So for Scorpio, we have Saturn is transiting your fourth house and is the Lord of your third house. I think during this period, there will be an energy of putting a lot of effort towards sustaining and maintaining your relationship with the family and household. Perhaps there will be some circumstance happening in regards to the home, house, close member of family. It could be also related to the property, legal papers and stuff like that. It might start to show up during this time, which you will need to clear it, which you will need to settle, and you need to pay attention to. All right? Because it's actually the Lord of the third. So that's mean whatever steps or things that you have to do during this time, you need to put an effort into it. It's not gonna be an easy, I don't want to say it's not gonna be an easy period, but it's not gonna be an easy process to finalize these aspects. All right. So Saturn also in the fourth house, it might manifest some turbulence could happen in the health and well-being of a mother. So you have to pay attention to that. Or also some turbulence happening in your home if you are married, for example. All right. So, and another point also, Saturn in the fourth house, if your dasha is really supportive, it might give you a foreign settlement. Okay. So Saturn in the fourth house is kind of okay though. It's not really bad for Scorpio, but again, it's depend on your chart. Yeah. So let us move to Sagittarius here. Okay, for the Sagittarius ascendant, we have Saturn is transiting your third house and is the Lord of your second house. Saturn in third house, it really can affect your mental and emotional state, especially your self-esteem, because Saturn here will kind of push you to work really, really hard, but somehow you might sense and feel like I'm not getting a result of it, or I'm not getting the outcome from it. Something like that might happen, all right? Especially if Saturn is transiting over your moon or over your Ketu, your Mars and Rahu, all right? It might really trigger something inside of you that maybe you need to shift or change your professional, let's say. Maybe you need to change your strategy. You need to change something in your life. There is an urge inside of like, I have to change something. I have to do something. But Saturn here just keeps you feeling like, no, you have to be patient and you will figure out maybe later on, but I'm not going to let you change something and do something right now. Although there is an energy that you have to change it. I hope it makes sense. So it can give the person an energy of a bit of confusion, a bit of like unsettled mentally, although everything around you could be fine. So I think Saturn here really can manipulate your mind. So you have to really figure out how you control your mind and emotion. It's not like something major. It's not like you will get to career crisis, finance, or relationship, and so on. No, but it's more will hit your mental emotional state. All right. Saturn in the third house also, it can shows you might get into some conflict and opposition with your sibling. So you have to be careful on that. Perhaps also because of mental emotional state, your speech, it can get a bit harsh or a bit straightforward during this period, which also you need to pay attention to. All right. We don't want to let people feel offended. Okay. But otherwise, Saturn in the third house, it can be really good. It can really let you work hard to get whatever you want. Like it will reward you eventually. All right. So this is for the Sagittarius. Let's move to Capricorn. All right. So Saturn for a Capricorn ascendant, it's transiting your second house, and it's actually your ascendant Lord. This can be a big deal, right? Depend on the points that you have for your second house and the individual window of Saturn giving to your Aquarius, okay? It can shows that the person finance might increase, your wealth might get more stable. It can show also attaining inheritance or asset of a family. There is a strong focus on wanting to achieve some sort of material fulfillment or material gain during this time, which most probably, if your Saturn transiting Aquarius is good and your Dasha is supportive, you might get it. All right, you might get it. But in the contrary also, if Saturn is not really well placed in natal chart and is giving low point and so on, then you need to really pay attention to your expenses, because it might manifest unexpected expenses because of family, or maybe they will need your support. Maybe there can be some issues in terms of attaining your asset or attaining your inheritance from a family. Some sort of theme related to finance of family, it might start to show up to you, either in a good way or bad way. Again, it depends on your chart, but money could be the theme for the next 2.5 years for you. All right. Again, I think it's not going to be really that bad, but in both cases, whether it's good or bad, you have to pay attention to your expenses when Saturn is the second house, because Saturn in the second house, it will really let you change the way how you deal with money, the way how you spend your money, the way how you invest your money also. Okay, so in all cases, even if it's even Saturn giving you low point or high point, you really have to pay attention to the way how you spend your money. Okay, so I hope it was helpful. Okay, so let us move to Aquarius ascendant. To Aquarius ascendant. Okay, so now we have Aquarius ascendant. Saturn is transiting the ascendant itself, and then is the Lord of the 12th house. Okay, Saturn transiting ascendant can be a bit hectic. I'm not gonna lie. Especially if you are actually going through activation of Saturn and Moon and Rahu, Ketu. If these 4 planets actually are active in your chart, all right, Saturn transiting your ascendant, it might be a bit hectic and a bit chaotic. Not in the term of like your career, relationship, and whatnot, but from the perspective of mental and emotional state. It might make you feel irritated, frustrated, without a reason and with a reason. It's that intense sometimes. All right. So the key here, you have to really, how can I say, understand yourself, what you are looking for, what you want, and how you can heal yourself, and how you can control your own emotion. Again, it's not a bad transit, but you have to really know how you can control your mind in order for you to think better, behave better, taking a better decisions, and so on. All right, because as Saturn is transiting ahead, your brain, so as if like your brain will feel kind of irritated, and you just like feeling the energy like, I have to work, I have to give this, I have to do that. You will start to sacrifice yourself a lot during this time. You will start to think about others more than yourself during this time. You will start to being out there, giving yourself 100%, but without really giving your soul what it wants. Let's say, for example, your soul is craving for being in relaxed mood or taking a break, but you're not giving that to yourself. It will give you negative outcome at the end of the day. So you really have to really listen to what your heart tells you, what your mind tells you. All right. And because Saturn is actually the Lord of your 12th house. So indeed, there can be an energy of just wanting to isolate or want to just be detached, but yet because of the responsibilities, you kind of like feel like you are pressured and pushed to be around people, although you don't feel like you be around people, right? In the contrary, Saturn in the ascendant, it can really open for you a new channels in regards to relationship, partnership, business opportunities, career, your self-esteem and your self-confidence. It might get boosted also during this time. All right. You can consider Saturn getting into ascendant. It's like a new cycle of yourself. It's taking place or getting born during this period. Like you will notice that you change a lot in the next 2.5 years. You become more mature, more balanced, and more abundant, and more happy also. All right. So wishing you all the best. Okay, so let us move to the last ascendant we have, which is Pisces. Okay. So Pisces, Saturn is transiting your 12th house and is the lord of your 11th house. Saturn in the 12th house, it's good because Saturn feels comfortable anyways in the 12th house, right? Because it's a natural character of the 12th house itself. So Saturn here might give you an energy of wanting to detach, isolate, or maybe to just like being away from people, you know, and minding your own business. It doesn't mean that you will be in low energy, doesn't mean like you're gonna be upset, but you feel like I have to mind my own business and just leave me alone. Kind of energy, all right? Because it's the lord of the 11th house is sitting in the 12th house, it might indicate opening a new channels when it comes to gain wealth, when it comes to your career with foreigners or in foreign lands. Okay, it might also indicate that you might relocate actually during this period to the foreign land and settle. All right, so Saturn in the 12th house is not really bad though, but it might also to some level activates your fears and your insecurities that it's there in your subconscious mind, because 12th house is a house of subconscious. All right, so somehow, somewhere you might feel nervous, you might feel irritated out of blue, or you might feel fearful or skeptical about certain aspect without actual reason why you are feeling that. Because Saturn here now is like triggering your subconscious and trying to show you aspect that you need to heal, that you need to deal with psychologically and mentally. All right, but regardless, Saturn is good. I mean, it will give you traveling, it will give you movement, it will give you new connections, expansion. All right, so yeah, I mean, good luck. Okay, so this is for all of ascendant. I hope it was helpful. The timestamp in description box. If you are looking forward to book with me a private reading and consultation, also the links are all in the description box. You can reach out to me directly. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. Wishing you to have wonderful and beautiful transit of Saturn, and see you soon. Thank you. Bye.